Hey guys, so I was testing out a different build. I unfortunately unranked queues are rather long, so I have to test out a build in the on my Smurf, and I'm rather rusty with this build, but I'm wondering about its potential. So I'm going to be watching this replay and showing you guys the build too if you want to try it out. And my goal here is to determine, I mean, kind of is it good? But I've been running a lot of talents or a lot of different testing on Tassadar and finding that there's a lot of talents that are kind of dead. So, for example, at level 1, increasing the range, I tend to always be in a range that I have this, and I was taking this for the mana, but if you notice this game, I use my abilities on waves all the time, and I almost never have mana problems this entire game. And I've been noticing that the less I take this talent, the more I realize I don't actually need this talent. So the extra damage on this is hard to stack, especially if you're trying to double soak, but even with that, it's not bad. So I've been just running this and primarily still using it for wave clear, but that extra 30 to 50 damage in the early game and the extra like 100 damage in the late game is not bad. So this is one of the talents that I've been kind of debating back and forth for a while. Like even in W build, I'm just not seeing the value of Psi Infusion anymore. I just honestly am not having mana problems at all. Then we get to level 4. Now, level 4 is where I've also had some concerns. If I'm going Black Hole, I feel like I have to go Electric Fence, right? Electric Fence adds so much value to Black Hole. And if my team's winning a fight, I think Electric Fence is also really nice because I can use a wall to grab someone and take them out. So it is rather valuable. But we also have a couple other options. Since I'm going a hybrid Q build, having extra movement speed when I throw out a Q is not bad. Plasma Shields, I feel like is only going to be good if I go Archon, and then it's going to give me that 15% health while I'm running Archon. And so that's definitely an option, but I'm not a huge fan of going Archon right now, just because for me, Black Hole is a team fight victory almost every single time. And against sustained healers, even more so. Against burst healers, then maybe go Archon. But against sustained healers, you go Black Hole almost every time because you can wipe them before the sustained healers even know what's going on. That's my personal thought on that. I do think Archon's very valuable if you do need that sustained damage. I actually should have gone Archon this game looking at like the team comps because Tyrande it has a hard time keeping everyone topped off in fights. Tracer's a little too mobile. So popping Archon allows me to just keep hitting her repeatedly, while going Black Hole means I'm never going to hit Tracer with Black Hole. But still, I wanted to practice this build, so I was playing this and still trying to see how valuable it is. So I still go Electric Fence, still going Static Charge, and we're going with Beam Alignment. So why am I going beam alignment when I'm not going auto attack and I likely am not going to have my beam charged instead of psionic echo? Well, the thing is I found the majority of the time when I throw out my W, I can never land a Q on someone fast enough to get the second one off, or I pretty much just always throw my W and then my Q, and it would have never given the other value of that. What I mean by that is this will only pop the second shock after you hit your Q, except for I'm throwing my W and my Q very quickly one after another, which means there's always overlap, and these don't actually stack. So this, I've been watching a ton of games, has been a dead talent in the way that I personally play Tassadar. I'm not saying it's a fully dead talent. I do definitely think that there are situations where I should be going this talent instead. But I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go with this, right? I'm going to go with the beam alignment instead. Now, the amount of times that this gets value in team fights is rather low, because I'm not going to be sitting at 100 resonance for a long time because that means that I'm self-rooting. But this actually gives a lot of value outside of team fights. It speeds up camps, it speeds up bosses, it speeds up whatever else we're trying to do. And in the team fights that it does get value, It is very strong and it stacks up your Q relatively quickly. So there are certain fights that gains a lot of value. I do use the electric fence there to get just a little bit more damage because electric fence does a lot of damage. I reposition, land a good Q, use my W. I stand on the point so that he can't take it, and I use my auto attack slow to take them out. Those are the fights you're going to love on Tassadar. The fights where people are trying to fight over something in a very small, crowded area. It's very easy to win those objectives. Especially if you take electric fence. That's just a ton of damage because your wall is for 2 seconds and you're going to essentially just add an extra 200 damage that another Tassadar is not going to bring, which is great. And throughout that as well, I mean, I landed 1 Q, which was an extra 25 damage, which now it's up to 30, but it was an extra 25 damage. And so all in all, like, it's a lot of damage that these other talents in these tiers just wouldn't have added that damage. So that's why I'm pretty sold on electric fence and I'm pretty sold on static. But I still haven't really determined what's best between these two on level 7. I definitely don't want arc discharge because I'm not going to be charging up my thing that much, but I do find that this is really nice to have a low cooldown on my Q during fights like this, where I'm just constantly going through and throwing out Q after Q. So in a fight like that, I would have not gotten that kill unless I took that level 7 talent, and it's just really nice. That's another thing too, is when you start sieging, this low cooldown on Q is very good if you want to keep using your Q. I decided not to do it purely because I was like, I want to make sure my mana is doing okay. I am gaining a decent amount of mana. Not 100% sure why I'm gaining mana. It's this, right? Yeah, you get an extra 3 mana per second while you're fully charged, and you can be charged relatively easily because this does give you 33%, or the level 1 gives you 33% whenever you land your Q. And it's I mean, it charges up relatively quickly in some situations. So this is the hybrid build so far. Is it the best build? I don't know. I've seen a lot of Tassadar builds, and I've seen a lot of Tassadar builds do really well. But so far, I've done really well with the level 1 quest. This is the first game that I've done beam alignment, but I've done really, really well for just taking that one quest. And you'll see, I almost never have mana problems. And I will double soak too, but when you double soak, you get globes both times, so we never have any issues with that. One tip for the wall: stay mounted up until you're in the position where you can throw the wall pretty far in front of them. It's really nice because then it gives it time to spawn first, and then you can quickly kill them with the extra damage of Electrofence as well as the extra damage of Psionic Storm. That was another one of those that there was a good chance that person would have gotten away. My W was almost done, my E ended, and my Q already went off, and she just barely died to one of the later ticks in my W, which means that is a kill that was secured by not only Static Charge, but also Electric Fence. There would have been a tiny bit more of a W if I would have gone with Psionic Echo, so I guess it's a kill that could have been lost because I didn't take Psionic Echo, but because I did take the other 2 talents, I have more sustain damage, I have more impact, or at least speed doing camps and everything, because again, this only triggers on heroes, right? So this is a dead talent if you're just doing waves. Now, I take Black Hole because I just like the combo of it. I think it's really fun. But again, if you are going to go Archon, I recommend taking Plasma Shield. I recommend taking Psionic Echo. And you could go with Psi Infusion as well. But I personally like Black Hole just because when you do get into fights, it can be really scary. So the first thing that I do is I get my Resonance Beam charged so I can start throwing Qs out. But I almost don't want to throw a Q because it's just a Tracer there and it's going to be easy for her to dodge it. I'd rather kind of see what's going on. I like to stay stacked and I've got my Q available if I need it. Now, the Q, I don't use it a lot on structures, but it's definitely worth using it on structures because the time you stand still is not really worth it. So right here is kind of the best example where I like to use these black holes, right? So the basic idea of black hole is it's going to take a lot of practice. I don't do it perfectly at all during this game, but I do it close enough. I send out the black hole and it's going to pull people in this way, and then I do a wall and it's going to pull them, but then they're going to be stuck on that wall, taking the extra damage of Electric Fence, taking the extra damage of Psionic Storm, and taking the extra damage of Shockwave while I'm auto-attacking them during that time. And it almost always secures a kill that you wouldn't be able to get, and it almost almost always locks people down relatively easily. You saw they quickly got 100 to 0'd by my combo, and they didn't even last throughout the wall. A wall alone likely would have led to that particular kill, but it also zones them out. So now we can pretty much just take a step back if we want to. I overstay considerably over here. My goal was to charge up and use my beam alignment to get a couple more stacks, but this is 110% a mistake on my part. I dropped down my turret so that I don't give them a turret. So definitely mistake on my part. Don't overstay just to get stacks. In fact, I would almost ignore the fact that this even has stacks to begin with. Whatever stacks you do get, awesome. 70 extra damage every time that I throw a Q. My Q does 400, now it does 500. Or 430, now it does 500. So that's the benefit of that. And now we're just going to get to some of these extra fights. And let's take a peek at what we are going to see. So I just throw out my Q. Again, that's a huge chunk of damage. Q in general just does a lot. I don't end up keeping my charge going. So I'm just gonna, and again, look at that damage. I do like 25% of someone's health. So I end up going for another black hole combo right now. I pull over the tank this time, and I use my ult or my wall to keep him locked in there. I didn't do my combo perfectly. Should have Psionic Stormed a little bit earlier. So he ends up getting out from that. I do a ton of damage in their backline, end up getting killed, but my team ends up cleaning up their backline by sending out a whole bunch of those. I would say this fight was more just a wash. I should have used my ult on a different person. Murden with Avatar is not going to get killed by my combo. So from this point in the game, I pretty much learned not to use that combo on Murden and instead just save it. I also need an answer because I'm getting dove by the Kira and the Tracer and sometimes even the Cassia. So I recommend Oracle a lot of situations if you're going Black Hole, but I end up going Shadow Walk this game because they're diving on me and I don't really want to have to deal with that anymore. So my new goal is going to be to pretty much Shadow Walk away and kind of go from there. I base checked this, but it's because I saw 3 people already top, and I was like, the only person I don't see is Murden, and if we catch him and he uses his E too early, I might be able to actually wall him off. In this case, I kind of wanted to combo a few people and go for it when they go for this camp, but instead my team continued to push, and that's perfectly fine. I think they made the better call, and so I decided to just go join my team and get this. So we go for the Q first, then we go for the drain, and we drop down a W really quick, charging up our passive a little bit, and this is where this fight gets pretty good. So I'm waiting until after Kira uses her mobility, and then I'm going to go for a black hole combo, followed up by a wall, and all 3 of these are going to get absolutely destroyed by this combo. Dropping them, doing damage to the backline, killing one person in the front, and leading to Tracer had to use her escape already. Pretty much everyone had to use everything to get out of that, and we absolutely just destroy from there. So I throw out my Q, doing a huge portion of Tracer's health, and I'm at now 110 damage bonus, and we're only at level 14. So now we head over here, and Black Hole's such a low cooldown, you can pretty much always force a fight, whether it's for an objective or just for like a fort, because it's a 70-second cooldown, so you can pretty much always use it. And I almost always, I feel like I always win the fight that I Black Hole, but we did lose a fight earlier that I Black Holed. I think it was just because I Black Holed the wrong target. But you kind of need to learn what you can and can't black hole. I normally don't have an issue killing the tank, but against a Murden, I don't really play against a lot of Murdens anymore, so you have to be careful about it. I don't have my ult for 9 seconds, so I'd rather not take this fight, but if we do catch them out of position, I can do a quick wall, doing a bunch of extra damage, and lead to a quick kill. And sometimes that's all you need, is just one wall. You don't actually need your ult. This time I have my ult, but I don't have my wall. So I actually don't really want to use my ult. I'd rather just see if I can pick a kill with a Q. I tell my team that I want to get back because we're getting rather low, and we lost one of our Vikings. I know that's kind of a weird thing to bring up, so I decided to take a step back, and I do have that Shadow Walk now. And Level 16, I go with Psychic Shock, and level 20, I go with Force Barrier, just so you guys know, in case you want to replicate this build. I take some unnecessary damage there, especially when I have a healer that's just a Rhaegar, because then he's not going to keep me topped off. But again, have I had mana problems at all this game? No. I've not had a single mana problem, which is why I don't even want to go this talent. Even if I was wave clear, or if I was double soaking, I would be getting more globes by double soaking, so I don't even need to worry about it for there either. And that's why I don't really like this talent, even for W build. So even in my full W build, I still am taking Static Charge now. I just think it's better. But for the rest of that, that is up to you. With Black Hole, Electric Fence is awesome, or just an aggressive team. If you guys are winning in the beginning of something, or you're just playing aggressive, it's really, really powerful. Either way, I'm playing safe in the back line. I don't want anything to hit me early in this fight, and I see everyone clustering, so I go for a black hole, I do a wall, and I completely destroy their team, forcing Tracer to use her back early, and she has to leave. I pop my stealth so that I can get out of the fight, and we just absolutely dominated another fight. Black Hole was the initiator in that fight that really, really just dropped him. So make sure to save your wall for when you Black Hole. So if you're ever expecting a fight that's going to turn into a Black Hole, save your wall. It's going to be really, really powerful to combo those together. And then the other thing that you want to be paying attention to is you want to wait until a couple people are grouped up, so you could try to get like 3 people in that combo. It stuns all 3 people, and then it pulls them all towards the wall, which is going to be doing a ton of extra damage between the Electric Fence and the Psionic Storm. And that is Tassadar for you. This is the hybrid build. I am going to say I like it. I'm still unsure about the level 7 talent. Level 13 is definitely situational, and the rest of it really, really depends on what you're going for. I always go wall, because if you've noticed, I win every fight that I land a good black hole. So if I land a bad black hole, this isn't going to help me. And if I land a good black hole, I've already won the game. So I'd rather go with lowering the cooldown of my wall so I can wall more often and not be worried about not having my wall when the black hole appears. Or when I have Black Hole available. So that's the talent I take on there. I don't like Kala's Gift because I don't like staying near my team, because then we're all going to get hit by the same stuff, and I just don't really like that. I also think the extra spell power is not that big of a deal. As you see, I have enough damage to pretty much drop their entire team in a very short period of time. So I don't really need that extra spell power. It's just not that valuable for me. And so this is the build that I'm currently running on Tassadar. This is the only thing that I'm pretty rusty with. I think that if you play this out right, it is the better talent. But if you play this out right, it's also good. But I tend to go more bursty with it. So I think this is better if you're going Black Hole. I think this is better if you are going Archon. So I can talk about the Archon build as well. Mockery really likes Scion Fusion for Archon. I kind of agree, and I'm going to explain. Despite the fact that I've trashed this talent all day long, Q means that you're not auto-attacking. In an Archon build, you want to be auto-attacking as much as possible. So spamming your Q more often isn't going to help. Having your Scion Fusion deal with waves is going to be nice. Electric Fence, you're not going to go that in Archon because you're not comboing off of it as much. You're doing more sustained damage. Plasma Shield's going to make your Archon a lot tankier. You'll have essentially just 3% of your max health every second as long as you're in Archon, because you're always going to be fully charged in Archon. And then finally at this level, Psionic Echoes picked up a lot. You could argue that Arc Discharge will work in Archon just because you will always be fully charged, but I think Psionic Echo is nice because you're going to be going for that sustained damage. Then you go into Archon, and after Archon, you're going to be going into Feedback. Archon, you're fully charged, and you're going to be applying a 2-second slow. And so you're going to, the slow is going to go up to a 50% slow, and that's incredible. The extra physical armor is just, or physical armor reduction is just gravy. And then we go into this tier. Psychic Shock is just really strong. You can melt tanks in Archon, so you don't even need Thermal Lance. And then finally go Infinite Archon. And that's the Archon build. But ultimately, I have so much fun with Black Hole build. I feel like I never lose a team fight. We did lose a team fight this game, but I feel like I never lose a team fight. And it could just be that it's more fun. The biggest answer is, like, if people position correctly, Black Hole kind of sucks. But people never position correctly. In fact, I'm coaching teams that are in the highest divisions that are still not positioning correctly. So they're getting, I mean, Black Hole would still get tons of value in there. But yeah, that's my Black Hole hybrid Tassadar build. Let me know what you guys think about it. Try it out. See if it feels good for you guys. I'm going to be playing it a little bit more. It's hybrid Q and W, so it's kind of the best of both worlds because a lot of these early W talents kind of suck, and a lot of these later Q talents kind of suck. So now you get the best of both worlds. Let me know what you guys think. I feel like it's a ton of damage, and it's a lot of burst damage in those fights. We did kind of run a double mage, so again, this whole game would have been better if I went Archon, but I did want to show off this build. So thank you guys so much for watching, and feel free to check out my other videos.